I'd like to welcome you all to the annual ACEC Wisconsin Civil 3D Workshop. I'm Matt Grawn from Becker Hoppy. I've chaired or co-chaired the Civil 3D user group for a number of years now. And it's really been great to see the success and continued support and really the community that we've built here with the Civil 3D user group in Wisconsin, and now even expanding our footprint outside that a little bit. So I've got just a few housekeeping items here that I need to touch on today to get us rolling, and then we'll turn it over for some keynote presentations. So the first, just a little bit more about the workshop. This is actually our 6th annual ACEC Civil 3D workshop here in Wisconsin and our 2nd virtual event. I'd like to thank all of you guys for being flexible and just allowing us to do this workshop even in a virtual endeavor here. And I think it's really working out great. I think I speak for all of the planning committee when I say we can't wait to get back to doing this in person. But really, we are excited and just super optimistic about the opportunity that this virtual event has provided. It's really opened up our footprint to people way outside of Wisconsin, and really just allowed us to kind of share the knowledge that we've gained here in the state to others as we keep moving forward. So that's great. We've got people from all over the country here today, from the East Coast to the West Coast, top to bottom, from Alaska down to New Mexico, California. So really just everywhere. And it's great to see that here today. So, and that really goes out to really a lot of our sponsors, Autodesk, who plays a big role in making this event happen, and ACEC helping spread the word of what we're doing here in the state. So, one of our main goals with the Civil 3D workshop has always been to build a network of peer users, so of Civil 3D users. And that we did a great job of doing that when we did the in-person events. And I think we've got a great opportunity to even keep expanding on that in this virtual platform that we're using here today. You'll notice that there's a lobby out front with a bunch of tables and chairs. So I challenge all of you guys to pull up one of those tables at those chairs later today or in between sessions, and reach out to a few other people that you wouldn't normally talk to. So build that network of peer Civil 3D users, so that way next time you've got a question or a new idea of things that you want to do, you might find a resource here today that can help you accomplish that. So just like every other year, putting together an event like this is not easy, and it really we lean on our planning committee pretty heavy to make an event like this happen. We've got a lot of planning committee members that have been with the user group since the beginning, and then we always add a few new ones, it seems like, every year, and it's great to have those standing relationships and those fresh new ideas from new members joining that committee. So at this time, I'd like to thank all of those people. Let's see here and jump slides. So if we were doing this in person, I would make these individuals stand up in the room and kind of wave their hand a little bit. So we're not doing that today, but if you guys want to stand up at your desk, that's pretty cool too. So let's do Danielle from Wisdot. We've got Mark from AECom, Jacob from Cooper Engineering, Brad Grove from JT Engineering, Rachel from SRF, Paul from VHB, Josh from KL Engineering, Bob from Autodesk, Ben from Gremmer, Steve from the DOT, Andrew from Seiler Design, Kate from CBS Squared, Ryan from Ayers, Adam from Wisdot, Brian from Eden Hunt, Nolan from Michael Baker, and Daniel from RA Smith. Again, all these individuals put in a lot of extra time and effort outside of the normal work schedule to make this happen. So if you've got any questions throughout the day, kind of take a mental note of everybody listed here, and feel free to reach out to any of these individuals through the question and answer or chat sessions to help keep your day going smoothly. So one that's not listed on the list is Andrew from ACEC. He also plays a big role, and we'll give him a little extra special thanks here a little bit later. Let's see. I'd also like to thank our sponsors. So in the same way that our planning committee plays a big role, so do our sponsors. Again, they help us actually plan this event, give us a lot of time and resources, from consulting companies to training firms, really just dedicating either their personnel or their time or even financial commitment to make this event happen and really help keep the cost down for all of us. The first one I'd like to thank today is Autodesk. They're without a doubt a key player in this whole deal. And it's really a unique opportunity for all of our attendees here today. You get a chance to talk with the individuals that are making the software what it is. So they want to hear from you. They want your feedback. We've got a few Autodesk tables set up in the lobby. This is a great chance to sit down and talk with any of those individuals or reach out and chat with them after some of these sessions. They want to hear from you. So this is, again, I would take the opportunity and use it. And again, thank you, Autodesk, for sponsoring the Civil 3D workshop. In the same way, our elite sponsors, Master Graphics AEC, or MG AEC, and Siler Design Solutions play a huge role in teaching classes here at the event, sponsoring it financially, and again, just a great resource throughout the year for us to bounce ideas off of and from a different set of eyes. And I'd like to also thank our gold sponsors. So this is more of our member firms or consulting firms. We've got Ayers Associates, Baxter and Woodman, Becker Hoppy, Clark Dietz, Collins Engineering, EMCS, Jewel Associates, JT Engineering, KL Engineering, Mead and Hunt, Michael Baker, MSA Professional Services, and RH Batterman. All of these firms commit a lot of time and resources through the planning committee and members that they've got there, and also financially support the event. So at this time, I think Andrew has got a short clip from MGAEC with a little bit more info on them as one of our sponsors.
In this short video, I will be showcasing what MG can do to enhance your Civil 3D workflows. Through our design process assessment, MG will analyze your project process from its earliest conceptual phase through project closeout. We'll leverage this knowledge to work with you to implement industry best practices, templates, standards, improved workflows, and a professional development plan to take your efficiency to new levels. Build your competitive advantage and deliver a better product for your customers. We understand that in today's work environment, remote work is more prevalent than ever. Our expertise with both BIM 360 and the Autodesk Construction Cloud collaboration technology can assist you in automating tasks and connecting project information and people in real time as a centralized source of truth for improved decision making. Each product is supported by a common data platform, ensuring transition between each project phase and team is handled with ease. Look to us for insight in connecting your GIS data with your Civil 3D design workflows onto construction and finally project closeout. MG also offers Pro Civil 3D tool packs that can enhance the functionality of Civil 3D, AutoCAD, and Revit. With a 70-plus year legacy and a footprint in 42 states, MG is the leading partner and expert in providing custom, fully integrated software solutions for engineers. I hope you choose MG to work with you to disrupt the status quo of design technology innovation.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh, for that quick info about MGAEC. Again, it's great to have all of our sponsors on board. You'll see more from all of our sponsors throughout the event. Let's see. Andrew, can you let me know if you see my screen again?
Yeah.
Good. Awesome.
You're good.
All right. So just a couple more things to touch on here. We have got PDH credits available for all the sessions throughout the workshop. I know this is something that's pretty important to a lot of our engineering staff. So there's just a couple things that you guys need to do to get these PDH credits. One of those would be you must register for the workshop and be logged into each platform. This is a way for us to verify your attendance. And then also you need to fill out the evaluation link that's provided at the end of each session. Once you fill these out, it notifies the ACEC team, and they can get you the info there too. And PDH credits will only be available for sessions that are viewed live, so that's something important to note as we move past the event. So you want to be attending these sessions, basically in person, so you have a chance for some live Q&A too at the end. Let's see, and the PDH credits will be consolidated by ACEC and sent out as one certificate at the end of the workshop, so you'll basically get them all at one time. And there's also some emails that will pop out at the end of the workshop altogether too, for another chance to fill out those evaluations. So if you've got any questions on this process, feel free to reach out to any of the committee members or Andrew at ACEC. We can be sure to make sure you get the PDH credits that you've earned throughout the workshop. So Let's see here. Andrew always helps us put together these cheat sheets for what I'm supposed to talk about today. But one thing that he left off of there is thanking ACEC for all the effort they have put in to make this event happen. So this goes out to Chris and Kelly, and especially Andrew, on just all the time and research he's done in the past year or 2 years now, putting together these virtual platforms. I know it's been a ton of extra work on him. And again, if you get a chance to thank Andrew throughout the day, I would highly suggest doing that because it's really a special deal here that we got going on in the state of Wisconsin. So that's about all I have. Now I'm going to turn it over to our keynote presentations. We've got Autodesk and Wistock coming up here with some information that I think is going to be pretty unique and pretty cool. We've got some really forward-looking stuff and some new technologies that everybody's working on from a DOT level through Autodesk. So up first, we've got Drew Kocke from the DOT. Drew is the Design and Construction Technologies Chief at the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. Drew's passion for delivering effective automation and delivering effective automation to professionals goes back a long way. For those of you who don't know, Drew played a key role in implementing the first 3D computer-aided engineering tool at the DOT early in his career. You may also know Drew for his work converting the department from hard copy construction plans to digital original PDFs. Back in 2017, Drew was honored with the FHWA Excellence in Right-of-Way Award for the department's real estate data development system. Drew holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a master's degree in digital terrain modeling at the UW-Madison, from the UW-Madison, and he's also a professional engineer and a professional land surveyor in the state of Wisconsin. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Drew here for his presentation.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning, everyone. What a spectacular workshop they've set up. You're all to be congratulated. Let me be the first one to thank Andrew and the entire team at ACEC that put this together. Just a really spectacular lineup, and couldn't be more excited about it. I have the good fortune of working with the design and construction technology areas at Wisconsin, and that means ASHTOWARE and Civil 3D for the most part. And in the Civil 3D area, if you don't know the Methods Development Unit, you will. You may already know them, but they do a fantastic job with testing and developing and supporting and training Civil 3D here at Wisconsin. I was in the Methods Development Unit for 16 years. I don't have to tell you this, but that was 1989 to 2006. And I can tell you that today's MDU does a much better job than I ever did, and I couldn't be more proud of them. I spent another 14 years in an IT role in our IT services area, and last year I was rescued from the dark side, and I couldn't be happier to be back working with design and construction and the Methods Development Unit. So again, thank you to all of the sponsors. Thank you to all of the ACEC folks, and I wanted to extend a special welcome to all the DOTs that I understand are here: Alaska, California, Montana, New Mexico, Massachusetts. Welcome. We're glad you're here. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Also, a warm welcome to all of the consulting firms, the software partners, and most importantly, to all of the dedicated Civil 3D users that turned out to learn and advance their careers and techniques. And what a wonderful workshop. So wish you the best there. I want to touch on a couple things. In addition to hearing from all the other experts on the agenda, I want to highlight a couple. The Civil 3D Power Hour today at 4:20. So the Methods Development Unit folks from Wisconsin will be there. They want to learn from you, and you can learn from them. Please pop in and say hello and make a connection and get some questions answered, or pose some questions. Our Bureau of Structures is going to present on their Civil 3D standards and automating with C#. That's Tuesday and Wednesday. Keith Sawinski, who's a civil engineer and a gifted programmer, was going to present tomorrow morning on Wisconsin DOT's Civil 3D customizations. We do a lot of work to improve Civil 3D even more than it is out of the box for our staff and our consultants. Don't miss that. Eric Arneson is presenting Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning. Eric is the glue that holds the methods development unit together. We're lucky to have him. He is going to be removing some of the mystery from parametric blocks for roadway design. And then Wednesday morning on fast unlimited side slope edits. Steve Popke is another talented engineer in the methods development unit. He's an indispensable member of our team from the Green Bay office. He was probably up late last night watching football. He's going to present Wednesday morning on efficiently creating plan PDFs. So even as we move to 3D models, we're still creating plans. And if you're a consultant or a DOT staff, don't miss that one. Mitch Lavin, another talented engineer from our Rhinelander office, has experience in urban design, and he's going to present that Thursday morning, urban design and Civil 3D. So really some spectacular things, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the other ones as well. So what is DOT working on? In addition to the presentations you'll see today, the methods development unit is nearly completed with their packaging of the Civil 3D 2022 release. We do a lot of customization with menus, things with the corridor tools. So that'll be coming out shortly. We're doing a BIM 360 pilot with the Interstate 41 team in our Northeast region. I should say too, there's a Civil 3D knowledge base that the MDU has put together. It is online. If you're not aware of it, it's worth a visit. The Civil 3D knowledge base you can find by Googling C3DKB. You'll find us there. It is just loaded with videos and guidance and how-tos for Civil 3D. It's an incredible resource whether you're doing work for Wisconsin DOT or not. They have just been refreshing training. Our entire sub-assembly library is available there as information about downloading our standard install package. We're collecting contractor data packets for bidders. So every design project will have a contractor data packet coming in. We're doing a little QC on it, and we're turning it back around to the bidders. That starts with our November letting. Contractor data packets is what we call the exports from Civil 3D that can be used on construction projects. We are involved with Everyday 6, e-ticketing and digital as-builts. Next summer, we have a few e-ticketing pilots on concrete jobs. We are working with utility companies, I will say again, to get 3D models of their utilities in our right-of-ways. And in general, we're working on integration with GIS. And I want to use that to segue into a thought about BIM that you can use as a context for today. We're very excited that ESRI and Autodesk are working together to make that integration better. Let me show a file here quick. I promise not to spend too long on this. I know you've got great material to get to. So in June, all of these efforts I talked about were all, we're all interested and excited about the 3D modeling. In June, the FHWA published the Strategic Roadmap for Advancing BIM for Infrastructure. And it's well worth a read. You can find this by Googling FHWA Roadmap 2021. And there's much more to BIM than making models in design and passing them to construction. That's one phase and one necessary phase of BIM. But as you go through the workshop today, try to think about how, in addition to that pass point, we don't always pass to operations and maintenance. I know when I was working in design, I had the mentality that I worked on my design, I got it to construction, and I was off to the next design project. In construction, I know they final that job and then they're off to the next construction project. To get the full benefit from BIM, we're going to need to shift the thinking so that we are all contributors to the data model about our transportation assets. So we're not just designers, we're contributors to the data model about our transportation asset. A couple quotes I think I can skip through here. BIM definition from FHWA, collaborative method for structuring, managing, and using data. BIM definition from Autodesk, holistic process for creating and managing information. It is all about the data, and it relies on uniform data modeling and accepted open data standards and sustainable data linking to other domains such as GIS. So when you're working on your design in Civil 3D, you should also be thinking about, is what I'm doing making this the most beneficial for operations and maintenance? That's the challenge we face over the next 10 years as we try to shift to using BIM at our agencies. One thing I liked about the strategic roadmap is they pointed out that it's not just tools and technologies, but it's also about data and standards. And that appears over and over again, that data is a shared responsibility. We're not just designers, we're contributors to the data model of our transportation asset. Very quickly, hopefully that shows up for you. There's a BIM maturity level. And this didn't come from FHWA. I believe this comes from Europe. 4 levels, 0 through 3. All of those 4 elements must increase over time for organizations to advance in their BIM maturity level. And BIM is dependent on that and 2 other variables. One is the y-axis, degree of digital information exchange. And on the x-axis, the degree of automation in that exchange. So are we exchanging the data digitally? And is there an automated way of exchanging that? We're not passing a file and extract, transfer, loading it into some other system. We're using open standards and automation to move things in and out of that shared data model about our transportation assets. Some of the challenges we touched on, data is a shared responsibility. It's going to require organizational change, which is, I would say, much more difficult than technical change. We got to have these standards. So I don't want to belabor that. I'll change back to not sharing. So as you go through your workshops this week, think about how you can improve your contribution to the data model about the transportation asset. That's really going to be key over the next 10 years as we advance in BIM. I know you're going to have a super positive workshop. The speakers are amazing. So connect with each other, learn, share tips, have fun, and stop into the Power Hour at 4:20. Thank you again to ACEC and the sponsors and all of you for joining. With that, I will say thank you, and I believe Autodesk is up next.
Yeah, thanks very much, Drew. Let me just share my screen. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, it looks good, Andrew.
Fantastic, thanks. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Drew, for those words. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the ACC Wisconsin Civil 3D User Group Conference. I hope everyone is keeping well in these times. I understand many of us are still working remotely, but it's great to see things slowly getting back to normal. My name's Andrew Milford. I'm the product manager for civil infrastructure, focusing on roads and highways and land development. I've been with Autodesk for a little over 7 years now. I spent my first 6 years in the consulting space, working with users and named accounts to help solve problems, everything from process through design, software implementations, to creating things like bespoke automation and customization solutions. My last 18 months have been in the product management role, helping to shape and develop the tools as we move into the future. Prior to that, I've spent nearly 25 years in industry as a senior roads and highways engineer, working for companies like Jacobs, Arcadis, and ACOM, specializing in large-scale infrastructure projects. I'm here today with Ramesh Sudharan, and Ramesh is the product manager of InfraWorks. Ramesh, did you want to say a few quick words?
Sure, absolutely. Great to meet everybody. I'm Ramesh Sridharan. I've been with Autodesk for about 7 years as a product manager, working on different things. I think the one thing it came up discussion today about the S-Series connection to Autodesk. I was a product manager for that initiative, along with other things. Today I'm doing multiple stuff. One of the things is InfraWorks product manager, and the other cool stuff that comes with our AEC collections. I've been in the industry for about 21 years now, and happy to be here today. Thanks, Andrew.
Great, thanks, Ramesh. So yeah, what we're going to present to you today is just some of the highlights of our infrastructure design product portfolio here at Autodesk. I guess it's my pleasure to share with you some of the great work our teams have accomplished, to show some of the work that we've done around customer satisfaction, and briefly talk around what is our current focus and what are some of our plans for the future. And if we look at the agenda for today, you'll notice we have been busy adding new products into our portfolio, most notably our new drainage solutions from Innovise. And I'll also be covering a lot of what's new in collaboration for Civil 3D. Civil 3D has undergone a lot of new feature and updates since last year, including the official release of a grading optimization tool, as well as updates to things like Project Explorer, more improvements to performance, corridor workflow, pressure pipes, and rail. InfraWorks continues to extend its detailed bridge modeling and analysis capabilities, in addition to several new roadway tool enhancements, which Ramesh will talk about a little bit later. Before we begin, I'm obliged to share this safe harbor statement with you, which basically explains that you shouldn't be making any purchase decisions based on what you're about to see in this presentation, and that there is no guarantee that all of it will come true in the future. So let's get started. So what are the outcomes you can expect over the next few days at this conference? Well, we're here to sort of prepare you for what's new in the software and what's coming in the future. And as we take you through the roadmap, with 4 days of learning in over 20 different courses, there's great opportunity to learn something new about Civil 3D or InfraWorks that you may not have known in the past. We hope that over the next few days, you're going to take away with you either a new skill, a new, perhaps a more efficient workflow, or even just a tiny tidbit or a nugget of information that helps make your job easier and become more productive. And finally, we really hope you feel inspired and armed with the knowledge now to go out and not only apply these to your work, but also share the learnings with your peers and colleagues. And sharing is just a powerful way to reinforce your own learnings, whilst also passing on knowledge to improve somebody else's workflows. Before we move on, this is also a good opportunity to remind everyone that you can contribute to the future of civil infrastructure products by joining our beta program. You can see later that you realize that we've been actually listening and acting on a lot of the feedback we received through this portal, and signing up also gives you early access to previews of Civil 3D, InfraWorks, as well as other research projects and our numerous extensions. So just to sort of start with our mission statement, we're just going to quickly walk through our strategy and how we realize our vision and how we validate our roadmap. So first, our product strategy is about digitizing processes so that you can create information that captures the design intent more effectively. And this is done through intuitive, contextual experience and modeled to a much higher degree of accuracy and detail. Secondly, we want to focus on how we connect project teams with our AEC-focused collaboration tools. This enables multidisciplinary workflows to help deliver projects and extend BIM to all phases of the project lifecycle. And lastly, optimize. This is about how we enable users to analyze, simulate, and iterate to optimize designs and work more productively with software to automate your tasks. And focusing on infrastructure, we're here to deliver BIM for infrastructure with solutions for preliminary engineering, detailed design, and documentation, all connected through cloud-based workflows. So let's dive in and take a look at some of the recent updates across the portfolio. And we're going to start with updates to collaboration for Civil 3D. So with COVID-19 still disrupting our day-to-day environment, and in addition to some of the numerous challenges businesses face in today's climate, this has presented opportunities for growth, learning, and reinvention. Design collaboration allows us to work from anywhere, allowing access to our data anywhere at any time, whether you're at home, in a remote office, or collaborating with an external partner. The cloud adoption has proven essential to helping AEC companies of all sizes achieve continuity and resilience in these times. We're enabled to work on anything, where you can empower your team to adapt to requirements and manage disruptions. This means fewer silos, better integration, reduced wastage, and more scalability. And lastly, working with insights by leveraging your data for better decision making, where you don't just store your data, you make sure it's working to help you by managing your projects more efficiently, keeping teams on the right page at the right time. And helping reshape the AEC project delivery. So collaboration in this industry is being drastically reshaped right now. Companies are investing in digitization more than ever, but they want solutions that are going to connect more than just teams. So these collaboration solutions need to be connected, because you need to be able to connect your teams, the tools, the data, all in one place to improve productivity and avoid rework. They need to be flexible, in that in an AEC workflow, which includes both horizontal and vertical projects, gives you anywhere, anytime access to your data. And lastly, it needs to be powerful and secure. So you want secure access, data storage, with all of your data centralized in a single place. I'm just going to touch briefly on BIM Collaborate Pro for Civil 3D. This is a tool that's going to allow civil infrastructure professionals to extend project team stakeholders, whether within one firm or across multiple firms. They're going to enable to collaborate securely and store data on the Autodesk Docs platform for AEC projects. BIM Collaborate Pro is for Civil 3D. It includes three key components. The first is the document management module built on the Autodesk Docs platform. This is now actually included in part of the collection, so it's much more accessible than it was in the past. The collaboration for Civil 3D aspect provides functionality for creating and consuming your Civil 3D data. And that refers to things like our XREFs, our data shortcuts, things like reference templates, our support files, and it also supports things like automatic file locking. So there's no trying to reduce the amount of conflict between users accessing drawings. And lastly, all drawings and Civil 3D project data is handled through the desktop connector. This is an extension to Windows Explorer that allows easy viewing and copying of files from network, local drives to the Autodesk Docs cloud platform. And over the past year, the teams have been working to improve the predictability and stability of collaboration for Civil 3D, with performance gains, really focusing around the file opening and saving performance, the elimination of reference-related issues, particularly around XREFs and DREFs, reducing the file operation times with the desktop connector, things like locking conflicts and behavior, the handling of temporary files. We've also improved the locking in the native AutoCAD 2022 and the homepage integration. And lastly, we've added a new reference explorer, which will allow you to review an existing drawings dependencies. And for those that haven't seen this, if we look at some of the challenges faced by customers today, it's that things like broken references can really impact your file open performance. This includes XREFs and DREFs, but even related data such as your external Surface XML files, for instance. The new Reference Explorer has been made available in the latest desktop connector release. It was version 14.10. It's now been fully integrated into the desktop connector tool and is easily accessed through the Windows desktop toolbar. So all you do is you simply click on the desktop connector icon, you select the new Reference Explorer command to bring up a panel, and you can then, from here, you can open up any drawing and review the drawing's reference list, either as a simple list view or as a more complete tree view. And this enables anyone on the team to actually easily identify where those broken references are in their document. Another challenge faced with previous versions of Desktop Connector was around file locking, in which the lock and unlock performance can result in conflicts when two users are trying to access a file simultaneously. We now provide notifications that the file is locked before the file is even opened. And again, this reduces that chance of any kind of conflict. This implementation is now consistent across all of the AutoCAD 2022 verticals. And finally, the whole locking architecture has been highly optimized. This improvement has been rolled out as of AutoCAD 2022.1 release, and that was back a few months in July. An update on the project migration tool. This has been developed to help users get their data, their existing information, into Autodesk Docs as quickly and cleanly as possible. Its aim is to identify and resolve issues and references prior to uploading to Autodesk Docs. This is a tool that's actually been in the beta site now for over 12 months as a standalone application. We are planning to release this as a fully fledged tool sometime in the near future. Earlier this year, we launched an update to the Autodesk Docs platform, including the ability to set up projects to adhere to ISO 19650 standards. This is just the first step in moving us towards full ISO compliance within the CDE. The current implementation of these standards allows you to set up naming standards and attribution, and allow the enforcement of these standards so that things like unique file naming can be maintained, all in accordance with the ISO 19650 guidelines. Also, earlier this year, we launched drawing support for design collaboration. This is additional functionality that allows you to share, publish, and consume drawing files across domains through controlled packages. For those that are familiar with Revit, this workflow has been in Revit for quite a few years now. So now the addition of DWG files and its associated XREFs is a welcome addition to the workflow. Furthermore, by enabling the drawing design collaboration, you can now align Civil 3D and AutoCAD drawings with your Revit models in the cloud, providing a full design review environment. This is just a quick example on how the drawing support can help that overall collaboration process, where Civil 3D and AutoCAD teams can participate in package creation, explore and consume process. This version contains full support for DWG files, along with Revit and IFC file types. And users can share and consume these drawing models through packages. And you can then see the content of all of these packages shared throughout the project's lifecycle, and that again promotes transparency and accountability. And note that this version of BIM Collaborate does not, at this moment, provide support for DREFs. This is limited to XREFs only in this implementation. And as previously mentioned, the addition of spatial model alignment allows cross-discipline teams to coordinate their models in the cloud using simple and repeatable workflows. This is accessed through a transform model panel where you can select a model to align, either from a selection or a drop-down. The location and rotation parameters are then specified for a model, and it's then simply a case of translating or moving the model to align it. The parameters of this transform process are saved in the system and then used as part of the model coordination for preview and clash detection. And once set, the alignment is version specific and saved for models within your team space. So if we just take a step back and have a look at a quick summary of what we've been working on, you see we've been really focusing on the performance and scalability of the solution. And if we look back a few months, we've made huge strides around reference handling, drawing opening performance, saving predictability, all from the desktop connector. From the AutoCAD side, improving the drawing locking experience and also improving the app home performance. And if we focus on the Civil 3D side, the teams have been addressing handling of large DREF projects, adding reference template support, where this allows you to bypass that automated related data, upload to Docs, and use your reference templates locally, as well as general performance improvements. We realize we still have a lot of work to do. Coming up next, more work is being done around improving the data shortcut workflows in the cloud, optimizing the latest version validation part of the process. The data migration tool is close to coming out of beta, which will help you migrate the projects into the cloud more efficiently. And finally, we are moving forward with developing a cloud-first solution for managing and delivering sheets, essentially looking at how do we put a sheet set manager in the cloud. These two initiatives are still on development, but are considered our highest priority. So let's switch gears a little and talk a bit more about our updates to Civil 3D 2022. So this year's been a pretty exciting year for Civil 3D. We've packed in a lot of new features being released, but I'm just going to focus on the work the teams have done on the Civil 3D 2022.1 release, which has incorporated an incredible amount of functionality and improvements, including things like CSAT, which is what we call short for customer satisfaction. This is a survey we undertook a little over a year ago. We've taken all of your feedback on board and we've used it to focus and improve key areas of Civil 3D. And those two areas turned out to be performance and workflows, mostly corridor workflows to begin with. Earlier this year, we also released the grading optimization tool, and we've also had new updates to the Project Explorer, which was, I think, formally released back in Civil 3D 2021. And lastly, I'm just going to mention briefly some of the work we've been doing around design automation, including new additions to Dynamo and the design automation working on Forge. So as I mentioned earlier, we undertook some extensive customer research to gauge customer sentiment and satisfaction with the product. And as I mentioned before, two key areas stood out. One was around performance and the other was around the workflows. So for performance, customers were reporting things like slow file operations, just simple things like opening and saving drawings, long periods of waiting for Civil 3D to do things such as opening the corridor editor, jerky mouse movements, limits on model file sizes due to that performance, drawing operations that were just getting slower over time, and things like unusable drawing production times. Many DOTs took part in this validation activities, with Caltrans actually helping take part in a diary study. And so we worked with a lot of other customer data sets to identify common operations that cause Civil 3D to slow down. And then we made adjustments to enable Civil 3D to process these operations in a more efficient manner. These updates save the engineers time that had been wasted waiting for Civil 3D to complete operations, which in turn increases your productivity and saves many project hours throughout your organization. Just as a bit of background as to how we went about this, the research started on the CSAT survey back in about April, May 2020. We reached out to around 16,000 customers. We did receive over 1,000 responses from over 700 companies. We dug a little bit deeper and prioritized the survey findings during some follow-up interviews with 8 different customer groups and 7 internal stakeholder panels. And we also aligned the survey results with top ideas from the Civil 3D Ideas website. So once we sort of started to align all of these this information in place, That's where we landed on the two key areas around Civil 3D performance and the workflow efficiencies. The ease of use. We want to look at how can we minimize the number of picks and clicks required to perform your tasks. And then finally, we validated that strategy with some more interviews with I think it was about 7 major accounts and some online surveys. And this is what we found. So as part of the performance testing, we collected numerous large data sets from customers with which to measure against. We created some general automation tests on customers' real data sets. So these were not, demo data sets. This was real customer drawings that we were using to test and uncover their workflows. We also developed new automation tests were added for all of these performance improvements. The teams have discovered several opportunities to focus on for the remainder of this year. That includes things like file opening and saving, where we want to try and delay things like unrequired processing, just general regen and redraw tasks. We're going to look at things like alignments. We're going to focus heavily on corridors. Look at rebuilding times, targeting, drawings, section views, all of those things. Derefs and data shortcuts. So whether you're on a local hard drive, a LAN, a WAN, Vault, Autodesk Docs through BIM 360, we want to make sure that everyone's having the best experience through using data shortcuts around creating, updating, and syncing. One key highlight you'll see in the 2022.1 release, which by the way, I forgot to mention, was actually released this morning. It should appear in your Autodesk launch panel sometime shortly. One of the key highlights was the ability for Civil 3D to handle out-of-date corridors and surfaces. And I'm pretty sure everyone who's used Civil 3D has come across this. Typically, when you right-click in your prospector and select Rebuild All, you tend to get unexpected results due to dependencies. Quite often, updating one corridor will flag another corridor as out of date. In 2022.1, updating all of your corridors now scans the model prior to that process for all of its dependencies and rebuilds them all in the correct order. So there's no more hunting and searching for the correct order. Additionally, the team has also identified areas where there are unnecessary rebuilds and actually excludes them from processing. This is all going to amount to save time and more efficient workflows. Another key focus area of the team this year was around workflow, corridor workflows specifically, and for example, targeting. Looking at how many picks and clicks does it take to set a corridor target. So if we look at the existing workflow we have today, first you have to select your target dialog, the region or the baseline. Then you get your target mapping dialog. You have to select the target with which to add and remove. Yet another series of dialogues to enter either the width or the elevation targets. And you can even go in further to look at things like selecting individual layers. And as you can see here, this is a lot of repetitive picking and clicking, multiple dialogues, and all the while you are locked out of the model from actually doing anything else. So we've gone back and addressed it. So we've gone back to the drawing board, and we've rebuilt the targeting workflow from the ground up to be fast, intuitive, and a bit more fun. Inside a single, unified, and modeless dialog, you can do things. Let's see if this video is playing. There we go. You can see here that in this particular example, this is a modeless dialog. So I can actually work in the background while all of these commands take place. Inside of this dialog, you can do things like select multiple rows. You can apply multiple targets at once. You can apply filtering to the different columns, so you can narrow down the search of targets just to identify the areas you're interested in. You can even do things like copy and paste targets from one region to another. There's still a lot to do in this workflow, but again, we're taking on board all of your feedback from the beta forums, and we're looking to implement these in the later half of this year. And moving into the future, we are looking at things like adding some of the more highly requested features. We're still investigating things like dynamic targeting of layers, where you assign a layer for targeting. Any additional objects that are added to that layer afterwards are automatically assigned as targets. And again, using things like corridor feature lines as targets, where the process of extracting feature lines and using them for targeting is another cumbersome workflow we want to address. And for more information about the targeting workflows, Tim Yaris is presenting a more in-depth session on this later this morning in the class called Designing Corridors for High Speed. The Match Parameters command has also had an overhaul. For those that didn't use this in the past, it allows you to copy your assembly, frequency, and targeting parameters across to other regions in the corridor. And while this was a pretty handy tool, there were a few limitations, including limited access points. Many users we surveyed didn't even know it was there. It has fewer parameters. You can only just match assemblies, targets, and frequencies, or any combination of the three. And lastly, it actually only works across a single corridor. So it was kind of limiting. The new parameter matching in 2022.1 has added additional functionality. You can now access it from the prospector and the preview pane, in addition to the other methods. Matching of the targets is more granular than ever before, so you can actually filter directly by surface, elevation, or width. You can also apply those parameters across any region in any corridor inside the drawing. This is just showing the result on how we can apply a single corridor's region parameter across multiple regions in other corridors, where we have a typical model with a corridor. You can see the new Match Corridor Parameters dialog. I can apply that to across multiple corridors and multiple regions simultaneously just by selecting the checkboxes. And you can see those results will update immediately. Moving into the future releases, we're investigating how to take these parameters and share them across corridors in other drawings. Another customer issue around repetition focusing on corridors is how you have to repeatedly do the same tasks over and over again for every corridor. For instance, if we're setting up a corridor, you have to, setting up the corridor with regards to things like setting up multiple surfaces, for instance. Most people who set up a corridor will always set up, say, a top surface. You'll set up boundaries, you'll set up slope patterns. We're creating a new template, a corridor template, if you will. You can access this template from the prospector. And what this template does is it is going to allow you, once you select the corridor template, which is actually either just a simple drawing or a DWT file, you can apply the settings from one corridor in another drawing into your existing corridor models. And so this is going to allow, once the file is selected, you simply select the corridor from the pull-down list, and the corridor must exist in the template file to begin, and then you select the parameters you want to bring across. And you can currently select from corridor surfaces, boundaries, slope patterns, and code set styles. And again, the whole point of this is to avoid that, that repetitive picking and clicking to set up these very common day-to-day tasks. And additionally, you can now apply a template during the creation of a corridor through a new option in the Create Corridor dialog. And again, this is just showing a before and after example of the workflow. This corridor, you can see it has no links or surfaces, and the slope patterns are actually just straight lines. Once we apply the, once we apply the options from the surface template, the end result is that we now have multiple surfaces instantly created. The slope patterns have changed, in this case, to a tadpole style, and the updated code set style has depicted links as opposed to just strings. And all of these steps would have taken a reasonable amount of time, but just a lot of clicking through different dialogues. This approach also improves model consistency, where you can apply different templates at different stages of a project. So we want to keep working towards, with what's next, we want to keep working towards addressing a lot of these major customer satisfaction issues raised in our research. And one of the biggest items we hear a lot about is around assembly and sub-assembly management. This has often been cited as a bottleneck to efficient modeling sharing workflows. We then want to talk about, and when we talk about, assemblies and sub-assemblies, we're looking at how to better handle the distribution and sharing of your custom sub-assemblies, as well as how to manage them inside the model, such as editing of multiple subassembly parameters, things like version control, and so on. Another area we're focusing on are transitions. And this is a largely requested feature. This is adding the ability to change a parameter's value of a subassembly across a station range, making things like daylight transitions faster and easier. Pressure pipes have enhancements to our new path-based workflows in terms of layout and editing of these pressure networks. Editing enhancements, such as support for additional part types, enable engineers to efficiently design your pressurized systems and modify the design as conditions change. These videos just show a few updates in 2022.1. The video on the left, you can see the application of end caps, and also sees how you can add bends to the ends of pipe runs, but then carry on creating from the end of that run itself. The video on the right is actually showing new functionality and around the addition of T's and Y's, and how you can actually rotate and flip those appurtenances through the use of on-screen grips. You can see from also, once we've actually added that new T into the model, you can actually build and create new pipe runs dynamically, intelligently from the ends of those parts. And these workflows will really help decrease the modeling time for pressure pipes. Just a very quick update on some new rail capabilities. For detailed design, Civil 3D 2022.1 provides new tools for railway engineers. See if I can get that video playing. To just efficiently create switch and turnout geometry that conforms to local standards. So turnouts and things like connected crossovers, they're actually intelligent Civil 3D objects that react dynamically to their environment. And design automation. Civil 3D introduced Dynamo back in 2020. We've now built a few additional controls, a few additional nodes that allow users to control how and where the data that controls object creation and updating is stored, either through object and script binding nodes. Design automation for Civil 3D allows third-party developers to automate your workflows using standard Civil 3D and AutoCAD APIs in the cloud. So design automation for Civil 3D is currently available as a public beta to gather customer feedback. Shortly, we're working on moving the beta release of design automation to a formal public release. And in terms of Dynamo, we're looking at adding an extensive set of Civil 3D and AutoCAD nodes to support most workflows involving creation, the manipulation and reporting on Civil 3D objects. So this was just a taste of what's to come in the Civil 3D 2022.1 update. And as you can see, this list here, this is just a partial list of the new features, enhancement, and fixes that the team had worked on in this release. Suffice to say, there is an awful lot in there, but we still have a long way to go. Again, I'm just going to shift gears a little and dive a little bit more into our new grading optimization tool, which was launched early in April as part of our global launch. For those that aren't aware, the grading optimization tool is an extension for Civil 3D that automates time-consuming grading tasks. The grading optimization enables designers to conduct grading design studies based on project constraints. You can explore alternatives to achieve an optimal grading design and return that selected proposal back to Civil 3D for detailed design. And that returns both a solved surface as well as updated feature line geometry. It allows you to do things like develop subdivision preliminary surfaces by assigning allowable slopes to certain zones within the subdivision roadways. You can apply zones from the roadways to building setbacks and zones even across building areas. But you can also do things like design detentions or retention ponds by either just including things like your minimum storage volume, maximum storage depths, constraints for the size of the slope, creating things like safety benches, berm widths, and just really being able to fine tune those and rapidly develop those pond grading objects. So what are some of the benefits? It can help you enhance your operational efficiencies. You can take the manual process largely out of those site grading workflows, and it helps increase stakeholder buy-in. You can actually save costs. So conducting these terrain grading optimization studies based on site conditions and your specific project requirements. And you can easily validate the most feasible grading design options. And really helps you reduce the material waste by optimizing that earthworks balance and getting your volumes right. At first glance, the grading optimization tool can look a little bit daunting. There is a grading optimization help file to get you up and running, which explains the basic concepts of the constraint objects and the objectives that you can achieve, as well as providing numerous sample files which are installed alongside the application. There is a new YouTube series that's been developed to get you up and running, and this can be found through the Autodesk Infrastructure channel on YouTube. And lastly, we're looking to supply more in-depth help and more training material, so look out for that in some of the forthcoming releases. So what's next for grading optimization? We've actually since released 2 updates to this new product since its global launch. So looking at things that making it more performant and adding support for more common site elements, such as parking lot curbs and retaining walls. Looking a bit further ahead, we're going to continue to enhance the grading optimization, make it even faster, and to enable more objects, such as things like interrogating or leveraging existing pipe networks, for example, that can be used as constraints as part of that optimization process. This is just a sneak peek video of the new retaining wall functionality. This is a case where you simply, using an AutoCAD polyline, you draw out the extent of where you would like a potential retaining wall to be. That's just using standard AutoCAD tools. Using the grading constraints, you can simply apply that constraint to the object inside of Civil 3D. And this gives you the option, you can add things like minimum and maximum height, as well as the option to reverse the wall profile. And you notice that the graphics on screen reflect the changes in the wall direction. Once that grading object has been sent across into the grading optimization engine, this is where you begin the calculations, and it takes those new wall constraints into consideration as it grades and smooths all of the earthworks to achieve an optimal outcome. For those that aren't familiar with Project Explorer, just a quick overview. It's a tool that was released last year, and it helps transform how you navigate, edit, and review and report, on the design data inside of Civil 3D. So Project Explorer makes it easy to navigate, review, and edit your Civil 3D models. It also helps you verify your designs and easily adhere to design standards, whilst also enabling you to work with customized reports, which is really important for any digital project deliverables. And we've been working continuously on Project Explorer for the past 18 months, adding more feature support and generally improving the usability based on customer feedback. So coming up in the next release of Project Explorer, we are now supporting railway design editing and reporting. We are focusing on probably one of the more important aspects, or one of the most frequently asked, is around dynamic AutoCAD table enhancements, looking at things like merging header cells, putting line breaks in header cells, multiple fonts and text styles, as well as text summary rows. And looking even further ahead, we're planning to include support for Civil 3D catchments, improved usability and navigation, and more fit and finish work, making sure that those dynamic tables are working as everyone expects them to. And again, if you're interested in knowing a bit more about Project Explorer and how it works, I advise you to check out Tim's class on designing corridors at high speed, and I believe that's at 1 p.m. And finally, with a growing number of BIM mandates, support for open formats is critical. Specifically, this year, Building Smart are releasing IFC 4.3, which is focusing on civil infrastructure workflows. Once that standard and its associated model file definitions have been approved, We will support import and export of key infrastructure objects directly within Civil 3D. So it goes without saying that in this data connected world, it requires cooperation and openness from the technology community. No single piece of software or a single software vendor can support all of the needs of today's project teams. So that's why we have a commitment to interoperability between tools to help transfer information and help transform workflows. So we are actually a founding member of Building Smart, and we're an active member of the Strategic Advisory Council. We are now a part of the Open Design Alliance. We are the only vendor to have dual IFC4 support certification for architecture, structure, and MEP. We're aware that BCF, the BIM collaboration format, is actually coming into Autodesk Construction Cloud. And just recently, back in 2020, we joined the Digital Twin Consortium as a founding member. And again, that's just sort of reinforcing that we are committed to working with the open platform. And I'd like to finish up my part just with a high-level overview from the newest member of our Autodesk family, Innovise. Innovise, which was recently purchased by Autodesk earlier this year, they are, for those that aren't familiar, are a global leader in building innovative, industry-leading software for the water industry. And they've been doing this for over 35 years. They service thousands of clients around the world, including everyone from the largest utility organizations through engineering design firms, consultancies, local authorities, and refining plants all around the world. Our recent acquisition of Innovise will further enhance our solution with the introduction of world-class water solutions. Innovise focuses on software solutions across the 5 key water sectors. And if we work our way around the ring here, you can see that they provide solutions for storm, sewer, and flood modeling. This is through tools like InfoWorks ICM, which is integrated catchment modeling, providing the capability to model 1D and 2D simulations. Water distribution and modeling and management, modeling solutions to make water distribution networks more cost effective. Drainage design and analysis through info drainage, where you can design sustainable drainage systems in 3D that fully comply with design requirements. And the last two specifically are SaaS-based solutions. There's asset management tools in the form of Info Asset. This is a cloud-based SaaS platform which centralizes asset visibility to optimize your CapEx and OpEx, reduce risk, and help plan for asset investments. And lastly, the AI and operational analytics with Info360 and Imagine. This is a combination of real-world telemetry with hydraulic simulation enhanced by machine learnings.
All right, let's get to business. So you have seen this slide.
So I'm just going to provide a brief overview of the 3 sets of desktop products, namely Info Drainage for drainage design and analysis, InfoWorks ICM for storm, sewer, and flood modeling, and InfoWorks WS Pro and Info Water Pro for water distribution network modeling. Info Drainage, this is a complete drainage design and analysis solution for land developers, landscape architects, engineers, consultants, planners, using traditional and sustainable design elements. It lets designers optimize for land use, performance, and cost. It offers accurate graphical but also hydraulic representation, ensuring how the water passes through a SUD structure is central to the hydraulic engine, as well as giving consideration for the different levels of filter media and the effects of structures slowing down flows. And you can see there's a lot of graphical feedback from these results, such as pipe capacity being exceeded. Flood risk level warnings can be shown both on the long section as well as in plan. Helps inform the user that specific areas of the design may need further optimization for certain storm durations. Info Drainage also offers integration with Civil 3D, with the user able to round-trip data between the applications, reducing unnecessary rework. And as I just mentioned, Info Drainage does interact with Civil 3D very well, and it provides the seamless data round tripping, It reduces the unnecessary rework. This video again shows the latest stage of a design project where we are importing updated pipes from info drainage into Civil 3D, as well as things like our green structure elements, which we refer to as stormwater controls inside of info drainage. So in this example, you can see that the visual representation of the design in a couple of the native Civil 3D views, including very useful the Civil 3D orbit command. And the stormwater controls are accurately represented in the surface as laid out on plan in info drainage. So further design iterations within Civil 3D are minimized by maintaining the correct connections, the inlets and outlet locations.
Autodesk Gallery, what you have is tangible results, and it's very important when you're getting gallery.
InfoWorks ICM, or Integrated Catchment Modeling. This is industry software for managing stormwater flows. I hope this video runs, yep. It manages stormwater flows, sewer systems, and flooding control. It enables engineers to create a unified model that contains elements of both natural and constructed channels above and below ground to model the 1D hydrodynamic simulations and 2D simulations in urban environments and river floodplains. And this is all within a single model. So it's a solution that covers storms, sewer, rivers, problematics, or even a combination of them. It also supports GIS integration with model imports. 1D, 2D, hydrology and hydraulics are fully integrated. It includes things like terrain-sensitive meshing, where it understands where flat or steep parts of the terrain are and optimizes that mesh accordingly. And it uses a GPU-enabled computation engine, so it is incredibly fast at generating its simulations. And lastly, InfoWorks WS Pro is an advanced hydraulic modeling software for fast, more robust analysis and management of water distribution networks, modeling controls, water demand, and leakage. InfoWater Pro offers the same hydraulic modeling capabilities, with the exception that these are all built on top of ArcGIS Pro. So InfoWorks WS Pro and InfoWater Pro both enable water utilities to improve service delivery to customers, meet regulatory standards, and strengthen capital investment plans. And with that, I'm now going to hand over to Ramesh to talk a little bit about InfoWorks. Sorry, Ramesh, I can't hear you.
Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes.
Perfect. I'll start over. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Andrew. So this segment's for the quick update on the InfraWorks part. But if many of the users are not using InfraWorks today, they might have a question what this is about. So hence, I'm going to title this segment is called like a futuristic, not because these tools are new, but these are some of the tools the DOTs and other customers can actually utilize in their project to get a little bit more out of the data. Now you have seen the Civil 3D, there are more tools and more ways to collaborate it. Now you have more access to the data. You can create more sophisticated stuff. Is there any way I can do a little bit more to make sure my project is more successful? That's where this preliminary design, we used to call it a conceptual design that has a different meaning. So it's a preliminary design product comes into picture. So this helps a lot, during the project, before starting of the project, and even at the end of the project. You want to check how your detailed design look, how your preliminary design should look like the project you're going to endeavor. Maybe run some simulation analysis and see whether the thoughts you have or the plans you're putting actually solves a problem you're trying to solve by this detailed design. And also going towards the detailed design, every now and then you want to check for the design verification to see are we still on target, not on the project only perspective, but mostly on what the problem we are trying to solve. That's where the InfraWorks plays a major role in your workflow. Next slide, please, Andrew. There are many things to talk about it, but I'm not going to go through all of them. But one thing specifically, since we talked so much on the Civil 3D part, just a quick intro of the capability. But if you need any question, we can hang out later on the meeting room and we can talk about it. Can you play this video, Andrew? So this is one quick example of how Civil 3D corridors can come in very easily into InfraWorks. Or let me rephrase that. As a Civil 3D engineer, how you can use your corridors and the Civil 3D drawing content more easily with the product like InfraWorks, so you can get the best out of both. Here, for example, I have the Civil 3D drawing. It has corridors and everything. I just bring in the DWG as it is, and it tells you these are the items you have and what you want to do. You can refresh it, and you can map specifically for your organization's needs. This can be a settings. You don't have to redo this every time. So once you have the settings, all are almost automatic. You bring in, you refresh. Now you're looking at your Civil 3D drawing in a 3D visualization with the real world context, with the images, with the 3D information, the terrain, everything, to make more out of it. Like it shows, you can do the bridge workflows on top of it, a lot of things you can do. But the cool part is it's not just a one time. Obviously, Civil 3D diagram can and will change as you start working on this. So you can automatically do your work. You can continue to do your work on the Civil 3D, and anytime you completed it, you can save it. You come here and just click re-import. The software refreshes it and shows you the latest and greatest without you go through all the trouble of bringing again and stuff. So this is one of the steps how we kind of bringing the products together so that you get the best of the Civil 3D, but without any compromise. You can take that information, go for your design verification or the simulation or whatever you want to do. So sometimes it's not needed for the current project, but it really helps on your project design once you start applying it. So this is one of the examples I just want to highlight it today. But there are more of them, like we call it active linear decoration, the more road conceptual design enhancements we did in the product. This has been there for 22.0, 21.2 and 3 as well. Some of those updates you can enjoy when you install it. And the latest one, like Andrew mentioned, it came up this morning with the great tools as well. So, but specifically for this particular release or the last couple of releases, I will highlight a couple more things. Can you go to the next slide, Andrew, please? And this is a little bit specific to, there we go. This is a little bit specific to bridges workflow. So we do a lot of work on the civil structures workflow. Actually, bridges is one of the things in InfraWorks. It kind of even overlaps with the detailed design as well. You can actually do very detailed design aspect for the bridges using InfraWorks with all the real world context and everything. In this particular case, can you just play this video, Andrew, please? Thank you. So this is a little bit more specific on a bridge girders. If any of the audience here are a bridge enthusiast or the bridge engineers with the girders, you're gonna love this tool. If you're not, no worries. This actually shows you how clear, how detailed we're trying to go on our design part. In this particular case, the bridge design part, to make the whole thing very smooth. Like for example, this enhancements is basically providing a definition of full span complex parametric 3D bridge girders. I did say parametric, so if something you can change, it's actually done with the default girders provided by the heuristic rules from the inventor, but it's all parameter based. You can update it once the data comes in or once a model comes in, and you can kind of customize the way you want to. It can be extruded. A lot of cool stuff you can do. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this one, but just want to teach you guys to show you how the level of details you can actually go with the almost little effort, utilizing the powers of other products in the Autodesk so they can get the best out of it. And this model additional features along the length of the girder and number of individual defined cutbacks, the diaphragms, everything you can place. And you can see here, I can select it, I can change it, I can update it, makes it very easy to use. I just want to give you guys a good highlight on this part because this tool really helped a lot of customers we work with since our release. A small version of this got released in the previous version as well. I think we did a little bit more on this release. We got a great feedback. Love to hear from you guys once you try. Next slide, please, Andrew. I think one more click. There you go. Perfect. So this, yeah, please run the video. So this is another one. Like I mentioned before, when you do a preliminary design or even the design verification, the simulation and analysis is the key. You cannot put everything into a live test to find out if something is missing. That's exactly where a product like InfraWorks comes really handy. We have many more simulation, traffic simulations, so on. I'm not going to talk about it today, but one thing I want to highlight here is the bridge analysis, or what we call as a refined bridge analysis report. This is really cool because once you have the bridge, now you can bring it in. It helps a bridge engineer to develop a full grillage or finite element bridge models and develop the necessary calculations to verify the bridge design thoroughly. And obviously you want to check it out how it is before, like I said, before live thing, right? This helps a lot on that. You can preview the results first to see the effect and understand the potential issues that can pop up way ahead of time. That's the main reason for the design verification. And user can visualize the effect of loading and other conditions as well for the design bridge, so they can be more confident on your design and more confident to move forward with it. And user can also have a full finite element bridge models. This can also be previewed and checked under the effect of load and other conditions as well. There are hybrid analysis also available for large bridge structures. You see where I'm going with it. More flexibility on not only in the design part, but also how you use that design and use it for your analysis and simulation to get the best of your design and get the best of the products you own. That's exactly where InfraWorks come into picture. So, which I just want to show you 3 of those slides that talk about the like one of the recent and the best features on the InfraWorks, but it has a lot more capabilities to it. Please reach out to us if you need more information. Next slide, please, Andrew. There are a bunch of other news, especially one is about the public roadmap. Can you click one more? Now this public roadmap is out. So you guys might have seen the blogs about the public roadmap before. It's a little bit static. Still, we actually captured all the customers' feedback from our idea forums and other forums. We really tried hard to prioritize it and utilize as a group, aligned with our Autodesk strategy as well. But this one especially is about a little bit more interactiveness. We do talk a lot of customers day to day. Actually, Andrew does it, all of our PMs actually do it, but we want to reach out a little bit more, give a little bit more control to the users. So hence this public roadmap. We will send you the links soon. Users can watch it, you can add details to it. Sorry, you can vote it, you can look at the details. If anything is missing, you can ask to include that as well. And most importantly, you see the current priorities or the current votings, and you can add your vote to make sure your voice is heard, and we can utilize that as well. And we already had a safe harbor just to make sure this is not intended like which release is going to come out and things like that as well. We try our best to stick to the roadmap and develop the products as planned, but things can change. So please understand, these are about the future development. Don't make any purchasing decisions on this as well. Please check it out also. I will send you the links. This is really cool to hear your feedbacks. Next one, Andrew. And AU is coming up. It's very surprising to see the 1 year went by on the virtual environment, and now we have another AU with the virtual as well. But it has its own pros. It's free to register. Lots of great classes, lots of great presentations happening. I'm sure many of you guys are presenting as well. Please mark your calendars, October 5th to 7th for Americas, and other dates are right there. Please show your support and reach out to us if you need any additional information. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Andrew. Or probably it goes back to Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Ramesh. Yeah, we hope you got something out of the out of that session there. Yeah, we'd like to again just reiterate that we welcome you to this event. We hope you have an enjoyable next few days, and I'll hand it back.
All right, thanks guys. Appreciate it very much. I think we've got a lot of great insight into both the Wista world and Autodesk, from multiple aspects. And like everybody was touching on today, I think we're going to dive deeper into all of this as we work through the week here and even later into today. So again, thanks for the great information. Our next session is going to begin at 1 o'clock, and I believe we had Tim Yaris up for that one. and kind of like Andrew and Ramesh alluded to today is pretty much all Autodesk stuff. So really diving deeper into what the team has to offer over there. We've got some good questions that were being formulated on the side here. If you guys don't get answers to these, in this session here, I suggest maybe bringing those up in those future sessions. Otherwise, we will have an opportunity today at 4:20 also to sit down with the team at Autodesk and dive into a few things and more of a question and answer session there too. So on some specific stuff that's not necessarily related to the topics that we discussed here earlier. So again, I think this is another chance to highlight that, the 4:20 sessions that'll be coming up, where we can kind of sit down at the table with Autodesk and Wisdot and even some of the resellers here and break into some smaller conversations on where the future and things are going. So let's see, I think that's about all I have for you all. Remember to do your evaluations for your PDH credits as you guys work through the sessions today. And if anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to reach out through the platforms here in AirMeet. So thank you all very much, and we will see you later today.